Hello, Year 2, and welcome to a very special one-off lesson for literacy. I'm Mrs. Gallis, as you know, and we're going to be looking at a wonderful story called The Lighthouse. So today you're going to write a newspaper report. You're going to ensure you include all the facts, use phonics for spelling, and check your writing. Again, the resources you're going to need today are your thoughts, some paper and a pencil. You will need some line paper, but you'll also need some plain paper to draw some pictures on. I'd like you to pause the video here, and I'd like you to go back to the website in phonics, and could you today practice the sound sh, please? Precious, delicious, ferocious, vicious, scrumptious. Pause the video here while you go and do that, please. Okay, let's have a look at our handwriting today. With our handwriting today, we're going to have a look at some words beginning with W, W-H. This word is why, what, when, who, where. So we're going to join our handwriting and our spelling practice together today to practice these words. So in your best handwriting, you're going to practice. Oh no, what has happened here? Oh, it's still happening. You'd have thought we'd have fixed this problem by now. But those 5 words that we've just read together, well, they're all jumbled up now. Could you get your pen and paper, please, and your thinking head, and write the words correctly for me? Scrambled words. We don't need scrambled words. We can't read those, can we? So can you do that for me, please? Write those words correctly. Pause the video while you do it. Okay, what did you get? Did you get when, where, who, why, what? I'm sure you did. Well done. Don't forget, as an extension, you could put some of these words into a sentence. The sentences would be questions because these are the sort of words that we put in a question. When did you go to the park? Where was the park that you went with? Who went to the park with you? Why did you go to the park? What did you do at the park? Wonder what sentences you will write. Don't forget, with those sentences, you need to include finger spaces. Can you remember? Yeah, properly formed letters, words spelt correctly, punctuation, capital letters, and you need to check it. Well done. Pause the video while you write some sentences with those spelling words in, please. I've got a little challenge for you today. I want you to pause the video here, and then I want you to read this postcard. And can you write a list of words that begin with W, W-H, please? Pause the video. Using your phonics, you will be able to read all of these words. Have a read and write down. I wonder how many you're going to find. Let's see. Let's see which ones you've got. We have got to Mr. Whitford. When I was jogging between Witcham Way and Widden last week, I saw an odd thing in the pond. I didn't spot it until, wham, it splashed me. I was soaked. With a huff and a wheeze, I looked in the pond and saw the beast whirl and cartwheel along. I spotted that it had 6 long whiskers and it could whistle. It looked thin, so I ran to get a wheelbarrow full of wheat as a snack. It munched it all and then swam away. Can you tell me what the odd thing was? Thank you, Whitney Whitman. I've missed one out. Can you see the one that I've missed out? Did you get it? Well done if you did. And even in the address, which says Mr. Whitford, 32 Witcham Way, Whipton, X1 3WH. And WH isn't really a word, but if you counted it, then I will let you have it. So, how many did you get? It looks like I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. But there were 19. I didn't get them all right today, did I? Did you get them all right today? I bet you did. Can you think of any other words with the W sound in? So, on to our main task today. I can write a newspaper report. Do any of you ever look at a newspaper? Maybe you get a free paper through the post. Maybe mummy or daddy or a grown-up in your house buys a newspaper each day. Maybe nanny or granddad or an auntie or uncle. Or sometimes maybe your neighbours share them with you. But newspapers, what do they do? What do newspapers do? Have a little think. Pause the video and think. That's right, newspapers give us information, don't they? They tell us about facts that are happening in the world. They tell us if there's been something happy, something sad, something that's important that we need to know about. They tell us, the football results. What else they tell us? They tell us all about the weather. They do. But they, most importantly, make sure that we are informed of what's going on in the world around us. Okay then, so I'd like you to pause the video and think, how do we get the newspaper? How do we get the information into the newspaper? It's the clues there, look. We get a reporter, somebody that puts the stories into the newspaper is called a reporter. That's right, a reporter. So we'll have a reporter. Well, so a newspaper has a reporter that goes and gets the story. He sends the report to the newspaper. So what does he need? Pause the video and I want you to have a little talk about what does he need in a story to get it to go into a newspaper. We've talked about things like this before in class. What does he need? What information is he going to need? Pause the video. Still thinking. Just checking a newspaper to see what's in this newspaper. I've got it. I'm thinking again. It needs to be about an interesting event. Will anybody want to read it if it's boring? No, we want to read about something interesting, don't we? It's got to capture the reader's attention. And it's got to present factual information. So it's giving us facts, a bit like the fact files that we made about Iceland and Australia, but this is in a report form for a newspaper. Okay. We do. We need a story. You're right. What story are we going to report? What's happened lately? Well, there's lots of things happened, but they're all a bit boring, aren't they? We want something exciting. I want you to watch this short story, this video, which is on the website with the link to this lesson. So there's a link by this lesson and I want you to go and listen to this story, or watch this story, I should say, because there's no words in this story. No. But it's really good and it's only short, okay? The Lighthouse. Pause the video while you go and watch it. Did you enjoy that? I thought it was brilliant, didn't you? It's fantastic. So what's the purpose of a lighthouse? Can you remember? Talk to somebody there, or talk to your teddy bears, talk to yourself. Just have a little think. What's the purpose of a lighthouse? Pause the video while you do this. A lighthouse, it protects ships and the people on ships and boats from the rocks and the land where they might crash if they couldn't see them. So maybe at night, yeah, or when else? When the weather's bad and in stormy weather. The lighthouse is a house with a light on the top which goes round and round and round, like in this picture, and tells the ships and the boats where there might be a huge piece of land, a rock, or a little tiny bit of island that it must avoid, otherwise it would crash. And if it crashed into the land or the rocks, what would happen to it? Yeah, it would sink. And there'd be lots of people on board that would die. But not only that, if it crashes into an area where there are people living by the coast, it's those people that would suffer as well, isn't it? So lots of people could be injured or die if it wasn't for lighthouses. They're a very important feature on the coast, aren't they? Maybe if you go somewhere this summer holidays, you might see a lighthouse. Have a good look out for one. Okay, so the essentials first. What's the essential information we're going to need? What have you got in your notebook? What notes have you made? What do you think? We're going to have to search for information, aren't we? Maybe read up on what's happened. Maybe go and ask people. Yeah, I'm going to go and ask. I'm going to go and ask somebody what happened. When the reader reads a newspaper report, they should be given the essential information first, so they can decide if they wish to read more headlines. Oh, right. The headlines. The headlines is what will make the reader decide if they want to read more. So the bold print, the big words on the front of that paper or the front of that page are going to make me decide whether I want to read that or not. Yeah, I agree with that. Do you? What else? It is important that newspaper reports have the most important information coming first. This is called front loading. So this means that at the most important information is at the front of a newspaper. Well, I think my information today is going to be headline news. I think I'm going to have my story on the very, very front of the paper, don't you? Because watching that video, it was a near disaster, wasn't it? Imagine what would have happened if they hadn't all pulled together and saved the lighthouse light. I mean, if they hadn't all worked together as a team and made sure that there was a light in that lighthouse, that ship would have crashed into that village. All those people on the ship, all those people in the village. Oh, it doesn't bear thinking about, does it? So the first thing we need to find out is, when did this happen? I went and did a little bit of investigating, and these are the answers I came up with. But you might decide on different answers. So with each of these points, I'm going to give my ideas, which you can share or use. But maybe you'll have your own ideas. When did this happen? Did it happen on Christmas Day? Did it happen in the middle of January? Did it happen the day before the fireworks were going to go off? When did it happen? I've chosen approaching midnight on New Year's Eve. So it was nearly midnight on New Year's Eve, and that's why you could hear all the singing and dancing and laughter. Oh, you think it might have happened when it was somebody's birthday party? Well, the Queen's birthday party. It happened when it was the Queen's birthday party. On the day of the Queen's birthday party, a disaster was avoided. Wow, that's a fantastic headline. We need to know where it happened. Where did it happen? What would be a good place? Well, it's not going to be in the middle of Birmingham or Wolverhampton, is it? Because there's no sea there, so we don't have a lighthouse. So we've got to think of places that might have lighthouses. There are places in England, like in Cornwall, Blackpool might have one. I haven't seen one in Blackpool, but maybe they need one. There might be some in Wales, maybe in one of the little villages in Wales, maybe in Scotland, maybe in Ireland, maybe in France, maybe Australia. You don't know, do you? Could be any of those places. I've chosen a small Welsh seaside village. So it's a little village in Wales. Because I like going to Wales, so I've chosen Wales. But you can choose anywhere you want. Who was involved? Who was involved? Who was in the? Let me see. Who was in the video? I might have to go back and watch that video. If you need to go back and watch the video at any time, just pause this video and go and watch that story. Who was involved? I'm having a good think. Who was it? I know, the lighthouse keeper. That's right. You were shouting that at me, weren't you? The lighthouse keeper. Does he have a name? I might have to think of a name. I'm going to think about that. The villagers? Yeah, there were the villagers, weren't there? How many were there? Oh, I might think about that, because if I say 2 villagers, it doesn't sound like a very big story, does it? If I say 200, that sounds quite good, doesn't it? Maybe 2,000. It's only a small village, so I don't think there would be 2,000. I'm going to think about that one. Yes, the ship was involved, wasn't it? Right, how do I make the ship out to be a good story? How big was it? How many passengers were on it? I'm going to think about that as well. So it's extending my thinking, aren't I? I'm exploring with my eyes. What happened next? So what happened? Okay, well, I've got to think of what happened first, then next, and then it wasn't just one thing that happened, was it? There was lots of things going on. Let's have a think about that then. What happened first? The lighthouse keeper was unhappy with the villagers. He was, wasn't he? He could hear all that music going on and they're all having a lovely time. But he didn't like mixing with them. He kept himself to himself, didn't he? Did you see how he closed that window because he didn't want to hear them all having a good time? Do you think he liked them? No, I don't think so. Oh, you think maybe it was just that he was jealous because he'd got to work? So instead of the... Yeah, okay then. So the lighthouse keeper was jealous of the villagers, or the lighthouse keeper wanted to be at the party with the villagers. Maybe. Yeah, there's lots of different ideas. What happened next? The lighthouse was plunged into darkness. It did. It went very dark, didn't it? Is that what... Oh, you would say something different. What would you say? Oh, the wind, the strong wind, the wild strong wind blew the light of the lighthouse out. That is fantastic. You are really thinking hard. Well done. What happened then? What happened then? I know. He got up, didn't he? Yeah, and he stumbled about a bit. He got his tools and he went upstairs. Do the readers need to know that he went and got his tools? No, because they'd just know if he was going to try and fix something, he would have got some tools, wouldn't he? They would just know that. So we don't need to write information they don't need to know because they'll get bored. Okay, so what did he do? The lighthouse keeper tried to fix the light, but it smashed into tiny pieces. Do you think the readers will like that? I think they will. Oh, you think you could say, although trying to fix the lighthouse keeper made matters worse? Because he did, didn't he? Do you think he meant to? No, I don't think he meant to. Okay. The lighthouse keeper was scared. He couldn't fix the light. The light smashed. Wow, there's lots of things. But there is a but, isn't there? The ship was heading towards the village. Oh no, that lighthouse protects the village, doesn't it, in this case? Yet that light whirls around and around and around to let the villagers know, to let the ship know that the village is there and to keep the villagers safe. The ship was heading towards the village. Oh no, disaster is looming. Fortunately, the villagers came to the rescue with lights to light up the lighthouse. Wow, they didn't they? Oh yeah, that's a good idea. The villagers came running with lights. They helped the lighthouse keeper. Fantastic ideas. Finally, because we've got to finish this story off for the readers, haven't we? The ship passed by safely. Good, yeah, that makes it all happy. Everybody's happy now, aren't they? Yeah? You might want to say something about that the lighthouse keeper was now friends with everybody in the village. Maybe that would be a good one. I think that would be, yeah. There's lots of things you can say, isn't there? Have a good think about it. Let's have a think about, to get it right, what we need to do. So for a great newspaper report, we need to have pictures to catch the reader's eye. What do you think would catch the reader's eye? Think about the pictures that you saw in the video that made you go, oh, I know the one that I thought of. I'll show you in a minute. You've got to have an interesting headline. It's got to catch their eye, hasn't it? Let's have a think about it. Keep your sentences short and punchy so that the report is interesting to the reader. And check your spelling and your facts. Your spellings have got to be right because everybody's reading it. Your facts have got to be right, otherwise the lighthouse keeper will come after you if you were to say it was his fault and it wasn't his fault. And then check it again. Okay? On your piece of paper, I've drawn like a newspaper front. Now you could do that if you wanted to, or you could draw it in a different format, but I thought this was a good idea for it to work. So you could fold your piece of paper in half, do the writing on one side, the headline, and some pictures on the other side. So it's a headline. Headline's got to be catchy, remember. People help. People nearly died. The ship was about to crash when the lights went out. Well, that's a good one, isn't it? When the lighthouse went out. Who rescued the lighthouse keeper? Lots of things there to think about. Have a good think about all of these things. I'm going to put a picture there and a picture there. And this is where my written report is going to go. Video here, or rewind it. Okay? Rewind and recap all of the things you need to do to include in a report about the video. You might want to watch the video again and then do your report while you're watching the video. That's what I'm going to do now. So pause the video here or rewind so you can do it, okay? This is challenging, isn't it? But I think you're ready for this. Okay then, let's go. Pause or rewind. Then, ready? I've done mine. Oh, what do you think? Is it going to catch you straight away? My headlines first. Shipwreck avoided. 1,000 lives at risk. So my headline looks as though shipwreck 1,000 lives at risk. Wow. The avoided bit I've put in little just to capture the reader's attention. Did it capture yours? Did it? Oh, I hope so. Then I drew a picture of the ship because that's, oh, it's coming, isn't it? It's approaching and it's going to crash. And of the man that tried to stop it all, but doesn't he look scared and worried? How am I going to stop this? He's thinking. Approaching midnight on New Year's Eve in a small Welsh seaside village. Eric, I gave him a name, who lives in the lighthouse which protects the village, was a little annoyed by the noise the 500 villagers were making. An enormous cruise ship was approaching in the stormy seas when suddenly the light of the lighthouse went out. Fearing for the villagers' safety, Eric tried to fix it but made matters worse. Noticing the problem, the villagers all went to help. They all carried lanterns to light the lighthouse up so the ship could pass by safely. Eric was grateful for the help of the villagers and said he would never moan about the noise again. Did I hit my target? To write a newspaper report? I think I did. Did I make sure I included all the facts? I think I did. Did I use phonics for my spelling? I think I did. Did I check my writing? I'm going to go back and do that. After you've checked your writing, make sure you bring your work back to school tomorrow so I can see it. Okay? I'd love to see it. I bet you're going to have a fantastic newspaper report. In fact, I might do dips in the bag for the best ones. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.